Hi there, welcome to Life-Changing Words. Stephen Roger here.
Yeah.
Where we just get together and share phrases, words, anecdotes that have changed our lives, and stuff that it sounds grand and it changed your life. In some ways,
Well, they've had an
that's the
impact.
way. It's short phrases at the right
I think,
time when
yeah.
you're ready to hear them. Make a difference.
And I think what all these phrases have in common is that we look back over our careers, and hopefully going to chat to other people, is that it's ones that have stayed with us now. We're pushing 60 now, Steve.
Decades
on.
But
but and we make a lot of our living speaking on stage to audiences. We're sitting here in Dubai in a hotel room in Dubai. In a few hours' time, we're going to go on stage to 800 people.
We do have our own rooms, by
the way. And we're gonna do our bit, and we know what we're going to say. And within that, there are some key phrases that we reflect on that are part of our presentation. And these are things that we heard years ago. And I remember the first time you hear it, you go, okay, that's interesting. And it sits with you, and you challenge it, and you challenge yourself. And as we sit here now, we know they've lasted the test of time.
So come on then, let's get going. What's yours for today?
Okay, so for me today is a big one. It's a big one. As I reflect over my career, as I reflect over my business career, I think it's the reason we're sitting here today, and I'm not here on my own, is something that goes like this. And it's been embellished in many ways. Okay, so I don't know where it really came from. Some say it's from the African distant runners, but you hear it in different guises. But let's take it from a running point of view. And I think the phrase is: if you want to run fast, then run alone. But if you want to run far, then run together. If you want to do something quickly, get on with it and do it yourself. But if you want to have longevity, sustainability, then you can't do it on your own.
And why?
And I love that
so hard?
Because it's defined me. It's defined me as a person. It's the reason I didn't do athletics as a kid, because I didn't like being an individual. Many people become athletes. I remember chatting to my good friend John Regis, who was a really good footballer, and he said the problem with football, Roger, is I can have a great game and I can still lose.
Good golfer as well.
Good, yeah. And he was drawn to athletics because he knew it was down to me. I'm in control. It's my performance. It's down to me. And it's why I didn't do athletics as a kid at school, because I wasn't confident enough to be that person out front. I didn't have that confidence. I liked to be part of a team. So I would play rugby, football, cricket as a kid at school. So I didn't become an athlete till I actually left school and joined an athletics training group. And I met two guys in particular. One is the late, great Todd Bennett, who was one of amazing athlete, Todd, because he was the world record holder indoors for the 400. I met him and my great friend Chris Akabusi. They'd just come back from the Los Angeles Olympics in 1984. I joined the training group as this sort of, spotty teenager rugby player. I turned up to the. I remember turning up the first night. It was in Southampton. It was a sort of gym in Southampton, and they had their sponsored cars outside. I walked in, and there was Todd Bennett and Chris Akabusi. I'd seen them on telly, and they had the immaculate. Todd was head to toe in Nike. He was Mr. Nike at the time. Nike had just come around then. It was in the sort of mid 80s. And he had all the kit, and Chris was sponsored by Adidas, and I was in my rugby kit and my green flash trainers. And I just started being around these guys and the rest of the group, by the way. It wasn't just them. It was a quite big group. But they were mainly club athletes. They weren't stars. And I just chased them up a hill. And I kept chasing them up a hill. Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. And, eventually I caught them, and I suppose you could say the rest is history. And my relationship with them, but particularly with Chris. Chris was my training partner throughout most of my career. And it was an amazing relationship. It was two people from completely different backgrounds, but they had this thing in common of this talent for athletics and this dream. And we lived together, we trained together. Every big decision we made together, like joining Daley Thompson in America, was a massive decision. We made it together. And, I know I wouldn't have been the athlete that I became without all these guys, but particularly Chris Akabusi. And he would say the same. And he probably wouldn't have achieved much if he hadn't met me. But it still is a great relationship. And it's the same with my relationship with you in business. We're sitting here today, and we wouldn't be sitting here today, not without going into the details of what we're about to do today, but we wouldn't be doing it if we hadn't built a business together. And I'm just better with other people. And I love that. And I think so many people sort of want to get on their own and I just know I'm better with other people. But it does take a certain mindset to do that, because it can be frustrating if you're working with people and it's not right. So it wasn't just Chris. I then throughout my career trained with John Ridgeon, Sven Nylander, Mark Richardson, lots and lots of other people, Danny Harris from America. All these people, Daley Thompson was a huge part. All these people are part of your career. And that's why when we talk about teamwork, I mean, you talk about this really, really well.
Yeah.
You look at you, an individual, you were just threw a javelin, but you always recognise that you were the person delivering on the day, but you had a massive team behind you, didn't you?
Just threw a javelin.
Yeah.
Catch that. But actually, as you're saying that, Roger, I mean, you throw out some names there, but it doesn't have to be. It's just someone on the same journey. As you're saying that, I'm thinking back to my old schoolmate, Scott McCarty. You listen to this, but no one knows Scott.
So what was his impact then? What was his impact?
He, at school, we wanted to be the best in the class, and we went train together.
Yeah.
So we went and we did circuits. We competed. You cut your teeth. And then your level changes. But the big one for me was going and joining my nemesis in many ways, Jan Zalesny. I mean, he was the equivalent of Michael Johnson to you.
Sure. No, well,
three
I never beat Michael Johnson, mate. You beat Zalesny a few times.
Similar success at Olympia, both Michael and Jan. And I thought it wasn't, if you can't beat them, join them, right? But in some ways it was, because he was a class apart, and I went and joined, unprecedented, and criticised him.
I remember. What are you doing? So why did you make that decision?
I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn, and I thought, well, what better place than to learn from the best? Go join him. He invited me, so I thought.
So what did you learn from him that you hadn't learned before?
Well, I suppose that was a question I wanted to answer in joining the group.
Yeah.
The answer wasn't quite what I was expected, and it was time to go into it now. But it was around his work ethic.
Right,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, for me, it was too much work, so I had to sort of manage that a little bit.
Okay.
But it was relentless. You had to just turn into a machine, which I wasn't. I sort of was more flair.
Yeah.
But look, find a performance friend, I suppose, is another phrase that springs to mind. But say it again. If you
want to go fast, then go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But I think this translates to everyday life.
Yeah.
If a great example of this is so many people want to do exercise. We all know we should do more exercise, right? And you get the kit and this thing, go to the gym, but many people find it hard to sustain that. And when people ask me, I want to do this, what should I be doing? I say, look, if you can find somebody to exercise with, then you're far more likely to keep it going. And I think the reason for that, and I can definitely say this about my relationship with Chris, is that people seem to think we would wake up every morning and go, yeah, come on, let's go training, we love it. Sometimes, a lot of the time we did. You did love it, but there were times where you didn't feel like it. You didn't want to do it, and I knew deep inside that I would. If I was just training on my own, I wouldn't have gone. I was happy to let myself down, but I was never going to let him down, because I knew if he was going to be there in that car park, if he was going to be there to then go on the track and the session was in the diary, I was not going to let him down. And I think the pressure of being accountable to yourself is quite a lot of pressure. Mm. But to be accountable to somebody else, I think, is a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I think that's the secret. So I think the thing is, just whatever it may be, if you're struggling, just go and share it with somebody else. And if you're lucky enough to find somebody, like we are in business, or Chris and I and the others were in sport, if you're lucky to have somebody who's on a similar journey, wants to achieve something, and values and knows that they need a bit of you for them to become better. You're better at certain things than I am, and I'm better than you at some things. We recognize, I think we know what you do, what you're, that's something that you'll get on with, that's something I'll get on with. It's not about just knowing your strengths, know your weaknesses. And if you're lucky enough to find somebody or a group of people who bring something else to the table, and there's another lovely phrase, love my phrase, and this is the phrase I really believe is true to me and Chris Akabusi, which was that our differences, because we are very, very different.
Yes.
I mean, you and I are a lot more similar than me and Chris. I mean, we're so different. Our stories, our backgrounds, everything. Our differences made us unique, but it was our similarities that made us champions. And there's something in that. I should have used that one. Yeah. But I really love that. I think celebrate the differences, but really see what are those similarities. Because when it came down to it as athletes, boy, Chris and I were so similar. We had the same values, same ethics, the same standards. And it was amazing. Yeah. So lucky to have had him.
It's very powerful. Yeah. 1 and 1 can equal 3.
There you go. I like it. So there you go. That's a good one. I like that. Thanks for that. Yeah.